I'm just saying, IJS. If one of my friends or family watched this video and used it to write a poem for me, I would die from crying with joy. I would dehydrate myself with tears because I would love it so much. No one ever writes poems for me. Hint, hint. Hey there, poetry pals, welcome back to another video. My name's Josie Alford, and this week I'll be showing you how to write a poem as a gift. Dark caramel this week, bloody lovely. Merry Christmas, happy birthday, Valentine's Day, anniversary, Father's Day, Mother's Day, congratulations on getting married, getting a new job, passing your driving test. I'm sorry for your loss and I'm sorry for running over your cat. A handwritten poem is an excellent gift for any strapped for cash writer. I know I am releasing this video in the lead up to Christmas and the thumbnail is Christmassy, but you best believe I'm going to change the title and thumbnail for each gift giving holiday all year round. Last year was my first year as a full-time freelancer, so I gave all of my family personalised poems as Christmas gifts. In this video, I'm going to share my method, tips and tricks on how to write a poem as a gift for someone. And along the way, I'm actually going to be writing a poem as a Christmas gift this year. However, because this video is coming out before I will have exchanged gifts, I will be blurring out details so the person doesn't actually find out what their gift is. Cut to all of my friends being like, is it me? Am I the subject of the poem? But before we go any further, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications and comment what brought you here. The engagement really helps small creators like me get found. If you find this video useful, you can support the channel by buying me a coffee, or you can get additional support from me with your writing by joining me on Patreon. The links to do both are in the description down below. So, let's discuss poems as gifts for a second. I'm going to get on to how to write a personalised poem for someone, but if that feels like a little bit too much for you, there are other options. And these are all gifts that I have given before as well. So number one is you can buy a print of a poet. I actually gifted my sister-in-law a Harry Baker print because it was the big text was, "You never regret going for a swim," and my sister-in-law does a lot of sea swimming and wild swimming, so that's lovely. Although you might end up regretting going for a swim now based on the water quality of the UK, but that's a different issue. On a side note, I also have poetry prints for sale. I have to say they're for a very niche market, but if any of your friends love recreational drugs and poetry, then I have the print for you. You can also do a commission as a gift. Poetry Machine offers these every year, and you can commission Poetry Machine to write a personalised poem for you on the typewriter. Beth does an amazing job, and I've actually given these as gifts twice now. They make excellent gifts because you sit down with Beth, she has a conversation with you about who you're going to have the poem written for, and then she will craft a poem from your conversation, and it's really beautiful. However, because it takes so much work, it is quite expensive. So I'm going to give you some cheaper options as poetry gifts now. So you can make your own display. If you're not up for writing your own poem, then you can pick a poem that reminds you of someone. I recommend picking picking a poem that is in copyright though. Not because, you know, you'll be doing something naughty by like writing a poem up for someone, but just because if we can support living artists, we should. But there are plenty of poems out there that you can like write up in a beautiful way and give it to someone as a gift. Or you could write a poem yourself. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how to write the poem. I'm going to be talking about how to present the poem later, whether you want to do like an audio, a video, or like a written version of the poem. We'll be talking about that later, but you can't present a poem that you haven't written, so let's get into it. If you haven't already watched my how to write a poem videos, then you won't know that I have actually done many a how to write a poem video, and they all start in very similar way. And this one is no exception. You need to draw a mind map. In the middle of the mind map, put the name of the person that you want to write about or to, that you are gifting. Around the edge, you want to make a list of things that are important to them. Maybe things that make you think of them, any shared memories and experiences you have, any in-jokes, maybe something you've always wanted to say to them, things that make them unique, any keywords, the emotions that you want to convey, any thoughts and phrases that lead on from those ideas as well. You also want to have a think about who you want to be the speaker of your poem. This might not make sense, so let me explain. Think about, are you the poet speaking to them, the subject? So is the you, if you say, I love you in the poem, is the I, the poet, saying, I love you, the person who is receiving this gift? Because that isn't the only way. Your person who you are giving the gift to might be the speaker, and they might be talking about someone or something that they love. So, for example, I've released a video on this channel called The Great Great Auntie, and it's about Auntie Vera, my auntie who has turned 100 and is still going. As of time of recording, she is still alive and in the nursing home. And I wrote a poem because I couldn't go and see her, so I wrote a poem and I recorded it on video, and I gave my grandmother the link so that she could show it to Auntie Vera. I was the speaker in the poem. Auntie Vera was the person I was speaking to in the poem. In another gift, I wrote a poem for a friend of mine, Carla, who lost some of her toes. And when I first met her, she told me a different reason for why she lost her toes every time. So I wrote a poem for her called 21 Ways I Lost My Toes, which got more and more ridiculous as it went on. Now, I was not the speaker in that. Carla was the speaker in the poem. And once you've thought about how you're going to write about this person or to this person, then you can carry on. Think about that in the mind map stage though. Because once you've decided on who's speaking, it's time to free write. Set a timer, no longer than 15 minutes, and just go for it. You don't have to use line breaks or anything like that. Just get your ideas down on the page. If I am writing a poem where I am the speaker, I like my free write to feel like a letter, full of all the things that I would love to say to them. If you haven't decided on who your speaker is, may I suggest doing a series of mini free writes, maybe 5 minutes each, from multiple perspectives. This can produce some interesting stuff. I was in a writing workshop where we had to write about a memory from the perspective of an inanimate object that was in the room. This is a really lovely idea if you and your person have an object in common, favourite mugs, wedding rings, etc. Now, when I was doing my free write, I found that 15 minutes wasn't enough. I found myself getting stumped, so I actually just did the timer again and did another free write. This is something to bear in mind. With all of my steps, you can come back and repeat them. I have sometimes written a poem, realised it hasn't really done what I wanted it to, and so done another mind map and started from the beginning and then merged the two poems together. It's a really good way of doing it. You should think about it. So, once you've done your free write, now it's time to highlight. Highlight your favourite words and phrases from your free write. It's also worth, at this point, thinking about what form you want your poem to be in. Sally Ann Rock asked on Instagram, do you change the type of poem you write or the way you write when writing for a gift? And if you're writing for a commission, same question. And my answer is yes and no. When I'm writing a poem for myself or for my poetry collection or whatever, I still use the same method of mind map, free write, highlight, stitch, and somewhere along the line, the form of the poem will reveal itself to me. Whereas when writing for a gift or a commission, the context of how the poem is presented is important. The context affects the form you will write in, whether it is a gift poem you are going to frame for display or a commission that is going up on the walls of a train station. This will affect the literal shape of your poem, and this will need to be thought about as part of your creative process. When you're thinking about form, think about your person. Are they a poetry nerd? If so, you can be really clever with your forms and do things with line breaks and enjambments and be very, very clever. If they aren't a poetry nerd, don't worry, they will still love the gift, but you don't have to be as clever. You can keep it simple and easy to understand. Simple and easy to understand does not make a poem less good. So you're going to need to think about the format of your gift. Are you giving it as a written poem on the page? Is it to display or keep somewhere safe? Are you going to give it in audio form? Are you going to make it into a video? How are you going to present your poem? This is relevant because it affects how you should write the poem. If you're giving it as a booklet, you can write a longer poem. However, if you're writing it to be displayed, you need to think about how big the frame is. This will affect the length of your poem and your line length. Whereas for other forms such as audio, video, and in a little booklet, you can be a little bit longer. Next up, you want to stitch and write. You want to take these words and phrases that you've highlighted and pull them together into a poem. Normally, I do this by notebook as well. In the next phrase, you want to edit it. Normally, this is the spot where I type it up and read it out loud. This is the bit where you iron out all of the kinks and turn it into a real crisp poem. Things to think about: punctuation and grammar, spelling, line breaks, rhyme, rhythm. Do your images and metaphors fit the internal logic of the poem? Does it make sense? Once you've done the first round of editing, an optional extra step is to send it to a friend to get a second opinion. This will pick up on anything you might have missed, and it will allow you to get a second perspective. That person should probably be a poetry pal, but again, this step is optional. Then you really have to let it rest. I'm talking 24 hours at least, so that you can come back, make more changes, and just finalise up, like firm up the poem. At this stage, read it out loud and tweak as necessary. Et voila! You have a poem. So you've written your poem and now it's time to present it. You've got to think about, when I say present, I don't mean that you're going to get up and do a PowerPoint presentation. Oh my God, there are some of my friends that would like die in a good way if I did a PowerPoint presentation introducing my poem for them. Now it's time to put together the gift part. If you're giving your poem as an audio gift, it's time to record it. Get as good a microphone as you can, but at minimum, a headphone mic will do. Again, this video is all about keeping our gifts budget friendly, so I would maybe put the file on a USB, and then you can decorate the USB. You can cover it in glitter or do something cool like that. And then you can just wrap it and give it to them. You will have to explain when they open the USB that there's a poem on it. So you might put a cute little label on it saying contains a personalised poem. That would be cute. If it is a video, it's time to record it. This could be a straight to camera thing like I'm doing now, or you could record your audio over your favourite pictures and videos of the two of you. That would be so cute. You could use a USB or a private YouTube link to deliver your poem. You could decorate the USB again, or you could put the link or a QR code in a card and get them to do it. Okay, so if you've written the poem out, you could do it in a booklet, and you could write it up and print it off and like fold it into a pretty booklet. That would be really cute. Or you can find a pretty notebook and write the poem by hand inside. Then all you've got to do is wrap it up and deliver it. Now, if it is written up to display, which is how I do most of my gifts, you need to buy a frame. Personally, just giving a poem on a bit of paper doesn't feel right. Now that might seem, Josie, I'm on a budget. What's going on? But let me tell you, charity shops are the way forward. So this is an example of a poem that gosh, look at that ring light. This is an example of a poem. I wrote it for my husband on our first wedding anniversary. And the frame is just secondhand from a charity shop. So have a think about that. If you don't feel that confident in your handwriting, type it up, put it in a cool frame, bish bash bosh. I actually like to write mine up because, quite frankly, I have gorgeous handwriting and a stationery problem. This does mean that you have to get it perfect, and you might find yourself having to edit the poem to fit the page, or writing the poem over and over and over again. The one that I wrote for my Auntie Liz, I ended up writing out, I think, 6 times. I still have the scrap paper from all of the times that I had to edit it. And then you just wrap it up and deliver it. That is my advice, tips and tricks on how to write a poem as a gift. If you found this video useful, please buy me a coffee or join my Patreon to support the channel. The links to do both are in the description down below. If you want to show your appreciation but can't afford to give me your money, that is fine. Let me know in the comments if you found it useful or if you have any extra questions, and give the video a like and a share too. As I said before, the engagement really helps small creators like me get found. And while we're on the subject, why don't you follow me on social media? I am at Josie Alford Poet on all of the things. And I frequently ask my followers questions over there, so join the conversation, yeah? Okay, that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.